Welcome to the Season 9 premiere of Cross Border Interviews. Our goal on this show is to create meaningful municipal conversations that inform, that connect, that educate, and that strengthen communities from coast to coast to coast here in Canada. Now, for this edition of Cross Border Interviews, we are honored to welcome to the show from the town of Duck Lake, Saskatchewan, Mayor Jason Anderson. Duck Lake is a community rich in history. The wide main street, business frontage, and brick sidewalks are reminiscent of times past. Outdoor murals depicting historical events are viewable throughout the community, and the Regional Interpretive Centre, with a 24-meter viewing tower displaying pioneer, First Nation, and Métis artifacts about the era of 1885 to 1905, are of good interest of the community. We'll be right back after this quick message with Cross Border Interviews.
You stepped up to serve your community. Now take your leadership to the next level. Introducing GEMS, Governance Essentials for the Municipal Sector, a practical, Saskatchewan-based training program designed for council members and those who support them. Whether newly elected or a seasoned leader, GEMS helps sharpen the skills that matter most: decision-making, accountability, financial stewardship, infrastructure oversight, and navigating the complex realities of municipal governance. This isn't your typical classroom. GEMS is flexible, online, and built for busy people. You don't need a university degree, just a commitment to good governance. For some, it's been years since taking a course. That's okay. GEMS is designed to build confidence and knowledge. There is a short assessment, but it's there to reinforce your learning, not to trip you up. If cost is a concern, talk to your administrator, as there may be grants available to offset some of the costs. Because when local leaders grow, entire communities benefit. GEMS, because good governance isn't just important, it's essential.
From the smallest villages to the largest cities, every day your urban municipality supports you. The water that travels from tap to sewer, the emergency services that keep you safe, the parks, libraries, and rinks that you enjoy. Our cities, towns, villages, resort villages, and northern municipalities are urban hubs bringing people together. We are urban. Celebrate your municipality as part of the urban family.
Mayor, thank you so much for sitting down with me and talking about yourself and talking about the beautiful community of Duck Lake, Saskatchewan. Before we talk about the community, I want to get to know the man behind the persona a little bit, if you don't mind. And I've got to ask a simple question. Where does your sense of duty to serve your community come from, Jason?
Watching what my community has actually become, I had to do something.
How so?
Well, we used to be a very thriving community. Ours wasn't any different than any of the other communities that were between Saskatoon and Prince Albert a long time ago. We were all very similar in size. We may have been a little bit smaller, but all of us had something to offer. And all of a sudden, when the boom started happening in Saskatchewan, we realized none of it. Instead of us growing, we lost most of our business core. And I grew up here, and just about everybody that I went to school with, the entire generations, just about everyone's moved away. So it was time for me to step up and actually do something. So
What was it
that's
about
why I ran.
What was it about the municipal job? Is giving back to your community and helping your community out. You could have chosen many different routes, but you chose the municipal route. What was that based on?
Well, it's not just a municipal route, though, that I went, because I do it personally also. Like, I flip houses on the side also, because I'm trying to make my town as nice as I possibly can. And, you know, like I say, I could have just went on council, but I figured, you know what? I had some ideas for the place. I'm going to run for mayor if I get in. I'm going to do my best to try and realize some of those dreams that I have for the place.
And
At least try anyway.
has it been easy?
Well, a lot of things are actually starting to come to fruition already. I've been talking to a lot of different companies. I'm trying to get our downtown core, once they moved the highway, it wasn't just that killed it. There's just been numerous things that have actually happened to our place. But with the highway being moved as far away from town as it is, it would be very hard pressed to try and get somebody to move in to buy a business on our front street. And it just kind of is what it is. So I'd like to see it developed on the highway instead. And instead of making it as good as it used to be, I would like to see it being a million times better. Because there's 6,000 vehicles that pass by on the highway every day. And we have a very large trading area, even though you wouldn't necessarily think it. Because in town, we only have 580 residents. But by the time that you include Beardy's and Okamasas Reserve and the outlying RM, our portion of those people that can be around here, we probably have a trading area of about 2,200 people altogether. So with the 6,000 vehicles that's on the highway, you know, like it's quite substantial, and there really was no reason why we ended up going the route that we have. So
It's always easy to look back and say we should have done it differently and we should have always done things better. But at the time, and you probably know this as mayor yourself, that the decisions you make now are going to be looked at 20 years from now and say, why did they do it this way? Since becoming mayor and since learning the role, has your views of the decisions that you make around that council table need to be the best for not just for today, but for 20 years from now, for 5 years from now, for 10 years from now? Because you're not just working for the betterment of the community today, you're working for the betterment of the community for future generations as well.
well, that's exactly how I have been looking at it. When I came onto council, that's the very first thing when we started brainstorming for what we could be doing. That's specifically what I'd said too. I said, this is not just about us. When the treaties were signed, I thought that they were brilliant the way that they had them written. You know, like, I mean, it's as long as the sun comes up and as long as the rivers flow, it's smart. They were planning for their future generations. This is not just about us. This is about the entire future of all the people and the community itself. That's the way that every community should be planning for.
But in my time of doing this show, and that's 9 seasons, and talking to now 901, because you're my 901st guest who is a municipal elected official, I can tell you municipalities are more reactive than proactive in their approach to governance, because we're always reacting to the biggest issue. We're always reacting to what was happening right here, right now. Is it hard to change that mindset to say, okay, we need to start being proactive in our approach to what's going on in our community instead of reacting to the issues that are coming up?
Well, there's kind of been it's basically the old guard that's been on council for a very long time, and they don't ever want to change anything. But we have a very young council this time, and most of us are kind of on the same page here. We want to see, I want to still see a community here in the next 50 years. And if we don't start planning for it, there's not going to be anything left of this place. You know, like you can talk about a bedroom community, and that's fine. We can be a bedroom community for the cities. I mean, we're only half an hour outside of Prince Albert. Our crime rate is incredibly low, and it's cheap to live here. It's a cheap place to build. Our lots are so much cheaper than what it is around the entire area. So it kind of only makes sense. But it can't be, I don't want it to just be the bedroom community. The housing is very old here, most of it. The infrastructure is very old here. You know, like, you got to start making the plans for it, for that future, so that my kids live here still right now. And I have a couple of grandkids. I would like them to have the actual option to be here if they chose to. If they want to move away, well, then that's up to them. But the potential here is absolutely staggering. And it blows my mind that nothing has ever actually happened here. So, like I say, we're working towards doing something to try and get it going.
Now, doing something is easy. The first step of any journey is the hardest step of any journey is the first step. And you have been, and as anyone who has read the news, municipal news over the last 6 months or possibly even shorter, 5 months, Duck Lake is putting itself on the map in some ways or another. And you're actually starting to do things that are getting the attention of not just the people of your community, but the surrounding community. And for that, for those who may not know, I'm talking about the decision to put your name up for sale and make that sort of pitch to get people to invest in your community. How has that gone since you sort of launched that campaign earlier in 2025?
Well, depending on which aspect you're asking, are you asking about the residents and the reaction from them, or are you
So let's
asking
talk
about?
about them right afterwards, but let's talk about from the investment opportunities first.
So I've sent just about an entire ream of letters out to as many companies as I possibly could, the ones that I thought actually had a decent name that would make a good name for a town also. And I've only heard back from a few, and they thanked me for the opportunity, but it's just not something that would actually work for them. And even when I came up with the idea, it was a hard sell even on council too. It's just, it was worth a shot. Is our community big enough in order to actually do this though? That was my biggest question. Like I put it at 50-50 because you have to look at it from the business perspective also. They have to see the value in doing this. Now, is there enough value for them to want to come in to spend that kind of money? Is 6,000 vehicles and seeing their name all the time? I was thinking that it would have to be a company that the marketing for them they would see that potential and it would work very well for them, but not necessarily every other company that I've written to. Like I say, this one was a hard call, but it still had to be asked though. So there's only another couple of months left that we're going to be accepting the request for proposals, because I said we were doing this up until March 31st of this year. And if we don't get it, you know what it is, what it is. I would love to see a
But
bid
on
come
the
in.
flip side of that, because I just want to put this on the record as well and get your opinion. On the flip side, even if you don't get any bidders to bid on a potential name change for Duck Lake, the conversations that you have started, and I say this as someone who has traveled across Canada talking to municipal leaders, you are on the map, even if you don't think you're on the map, because I know people from Nova Scotia are going to me saying, have you talked to someone from Duck Lake? What's going on in Duck Lake right now? You have started a conversation where Duck Lake is kind of synonymous with municipal infrastructure challenges right now because you're thinking outside the box. That's got
Yes.
to be a win at the end of the day, even if you don't get any bidders.
Well, it is a win. Absolutely. Like that was the flip side of doing this. And that's what I explained to council. Like, I mean, no matter what happens, even if we don't get a bid, I knew what was going to happen. Like, I mean, it's marketing brilliance is what it was. And it truly was, because we were going to get so much publicity out of this, and we have. So one way or the other, it was still going to be a win for the town. If we got some bids, fantastic. Was it going to be a tough decision? Oh, yeah. And it really would have been,
Well, then,
because
because let's talk about the part that we haven't talked about yet is the residents, because we all saw the news reports about the change would take away from that historic appeal of what Duck Lake is, and it has its meaning. So when you have to make that tough choice and you're hearing from residents, is that something that weighs on you when you're going through this process?
it doesn't actually. like I say, this was something that needed to be done one way or the other. And it was tougher on my wife, actually, than it was on me. Because the comments that people were making against me as soon as this got going, and I told her, I said, people are just angry to start off with. I said, they need time to cool down and they need time to really think about this. And if it was going to be that we do end up getting a bid on the town's name, I will be going door to door to go and talk to everybody just to actually answer their questions, because people don't understand everything that's actually going on here. So at least if they have questions, they can make an educated decision afterwards when it comes down to it. Because yes, if we got that bid, we would end up losing the name, probably, potentially. There could have been a company that could have came in that said, hey, you know what? We'll give you $5 million or so in order to keep your name. Well, that's a possibility too. Like, that's the thing. Nobody knew exactly where this one was going to go. That's why I said it had to be asked. But as far as people being angry about this, they have to know what's going to happen with this, though, if we actually took it. Because it's not just council's decision. This is every resident. There would be a plebiscite on this one. And that's the thing. They have their say. It's not like we were trying to take it away from them. They were blindsided with it because it was a decision that council made. But like I say, at the end of the day, though, it was their decision as to whether we were going to proceed with this. But there was a community that's very close by us that they just redid their water and sewer lines. They're twice our size. It cost them $10 million. So if we had even a bid of $10 million that came in, technically we should be able to get all of our water and sewer lines redone and take care of quite a bit of our roads. There's some of the biggest complaints that we have from residents and tourists and everyone around here. Well, what do you want? I'm not increasing your tax base here. This is outside investment. So, like I say, what's more important to you? And the future of the town, the actual physical town itself. This is what it comes down to. What's more important, that name or getting the infrastructure fixed? Because it's not just about our generation right now. This is taking care of the future of the place too. And if you want to go for investment, if you want to get new businesses and new people to come here, you have to offer them some things. And if they're going to keep driving on lousy roads all the time and just keep complaining about everything, you're not going to drive those people here. So, like I say, they have to make the decision for themselves.
Because at the end of the day, that's where this story started from. And this is the renaming of Duck Lake, or the potential renaming of Duck Lake.
Yes.
Smaller communities, and I'm not just picking on Duck Lake here, but this is not just a Duck Lake issue. It is a Saskatchewan-wide issue, and even Canada-wide issue. Our infrastructure is aging out. Our infrastructure is facing severe underfunding from all levels of government, not just the municipality, but the province and even the federal government.
Mm-hmm.
Where does this story start? At what point in time, what was the number that you went, oh no, we need to start looking at potential other revenues here, because we cannot ask our residents to pony up 10, $15 million, because at the end of the day, that would destroy potentially our community. What was the number that you were shown that went, oh no, this is the point of no return? We need to start thinking outside the box.
Well, the way I look at it is, my wife and I bought our first house here in town in 2001. And our water bill at that time was $99 for 3 months. And that's it. Like that's the thing, $99 for 3 months. So when people start complaining about the levels of government and how much money that they're actually giving us, you know what? This was a town issue. I'm not saying it's just the town itself. Yes, is there not enough money to be going around to be giving to the municipalities to help them out? To a certain point, yes, but you have to, like people have talked about, well, the government of Saskatchewan should be giving you so much more, but they're not just taking care of one municipality. They have 200 and some that they have to be taking care of. there's only so much money that can actually go around for these places. But if your community isn't going to look out for the future, if all it's going to be is, I need to keep as much money in my pocket as I possibly can right now, and oh, I don't know what my neighbors are going to say, I can't increase it that much. You know what? $99 for 3 months, like, come on. And they did it for a very long time. And then all of a sudden we got hit with our water issue, and we were going to end up going with Sask Water, but I don't know if it was dragging their feet with the council or exactly what happened there. But all of a sudden Sask Water came back, and it was about a year and a half later, and they jacked that rate from whatever it was, the initial number, and all of a sudden I think it was going to cost $2 million in order to do it. This is quite a few years ago already. This is just about 20 years. So council decided, fine, we're going to do it on our own. So they did it on their own. And the residents had to pony up for a short-term loan, and then we've been paying on a long-term loan. We've only got about another year and a half to 2 years left, and then that one's finally done. But like I say, it was 20 years that we were paying on this thing. So,
and on the flip
why
side of that,
wasn't it-
just quickly, because people should know this, paying off that loan does not mean paying off that loan, because 20 years ago, the infrastructure was great. 20 years now, you're looking at, okay, is there pipes that are going to burst? Is there infrastructure that we're going to have to upgrade? So you're in this continuous cyclical cycle that is basically, okay, we're going to pay, we're going to fix, we're going to pay, we're going to fix, we're going to pay, we're going to fix. So it's that cyclical cycle that it's the snake eating itself, because you just have to pony up money to fix these things.
Well, exactly. And that's what it's always been, like I say, and that's why we're trying to do something different to try and get us out of this mess.
Mm-hmm.
So the naming rights initiative, that's what it was. Like, that's truly what it was for.
This is the hypothetical question in this whole story right now before we continue on. Hypothetically, no bidder comes in as of March 31st. You're still in the same boat. What do you do next? What is next step? Because you've probably already thought contingency plans of, how do we fix this? How do we get ourselves out of this space right now? Is it going to the voters and saying, guess what? We need to find $5 million, $10 million. And right now, the only place that we can do that is your property taxes. What is the next step if nothing happens on March 31st?
Well, there is other initiatives that we can start. I mean, we do have our skating rink and our town hall that we can go to companies to see about selling naming rights for them. Okay, so that's something. It's a start. We do have a lot of vacant lots. Quite a few of them are serviced. So because nobody else is actually coming in to build, whereas our council is starting to discuss about, we will do it ourselves because we haven't been able to secure a developer to come in yet to actually develop themselves. I'm not sure if they're worried about the price point, because pretty much, like, let's say, for instance, we bring in an RTM. We have a new basement put on there. In order to sell that house, we're going to be looking at basically $400,000. Developers aren't looking at it, that they don't think that they can make their money out of it, yet all the surrounding communities are selling for those kind of numbers anyway. So if council does it themselves, we're not a for-profit business, so we're not paying tax on the profit that we're going to make off of it. It's a start. And my point was, if we do this for the next 4 or 5 years, we do one house per year, we've got something to go back to the developers with to show them that the houses are selling here. You guys can come in and you guys can do this. The thing is, we are such a small community right now. We need the extra people to get here in order to increase how much we're actually making, because we can go to the people that are here and start increasing taxes, but you can still only go so much though too, because otherwise you're going to start driving away the few businesses that we actually have left if it starts to get way too expensive for them. So how much can we drive? I don't know. But with that long-term loan being done though, we do have some room to start working on other things. And we are working with some companies, even if it's lining our water and sewer lines for now, not actually having to replace. We're getting things checked out and we're going to do it as we can. And that's just technically the best that we can do. So
What is your uh what is your division between taxes right now? How much of your property taxes come from business and how much comes from resident? Is it 80/20? Is it 90/10? What is the magic number? Do you know offhand?
I don't know offhand.
Okay, so the reason I ask that is because economic development seems to be the key word and the key buzzword a lot of municipalities are throwing around now. How do we invest more businesses to come set up shop? That means like the brick mortar shops, but also the like mom and pop shops, but also the home-based business shops. What does Duck Lake look like in 5 years if you did have a healthy business environment?
Well, I like living in a small town.
Yep.
I want to keep this as a small town. I would like to see the place grow to about 1,200 people maximum.
Okay. So you even have a hard limit potentially.
Yes. Like that's the thing. I like living in a small town. It's just this is home for me and I'd like to keep it as such too. But I guess it would also depend on whether we do get the highway development. See, we are kind of in a unique position more so than any other community that are around us for the simple fact that when they move the highway, the old highway is right in behind the new highway that was put in. And the Department of Highways gave us that stretch. So there is literally the new highway is right here and the old highway is right here. And then you have this great big block of property. We have access roads from both sides with an old highway that's right in behind there. There's room for parking. There's so many other communities that they don't have that. They don't have what we have over here. And as I'm talking with a lot of businesses, they realize exactly what it is that I'm talking about. And the thing is, like I say, we're not very far out of Prince Albert, but we're also not very far out of Saskatoon, though, either. And if you start talking about, you go into Saskatoon and you're talking about anywhere between 550 to $750,000 an acre for developing over there. Well, what if we can do it for 450? What if we can do it for 400? What if we can make a really good deal for some companies to come in? If they came in, there is room for us to expand for the housing. But like I say, though, I do still want to keep it a small town.
Hypothetically, and again, I hate playing in hypotheticals, but I do it a lot on this show. If a house was to go on the market today in Duck Lake, let's say for whatever the average house price is in Duck Lake right now, how long is that on the market? Are people wanting to move to Duck Lake?
Oh man, there's nothing.
Oh,
Pretty much they come up and they're just gone almost immediately.
really? So it
Yes.
is a thriving place where people do want to come.
Well, there's no places to rent here. And as soon as the house goes up, like that's it. Like it literally could be on the market. My son's house, we had just finished. We put it up for sale. It took 1 hour for it to sell. Like literally 1 hour. And that
Wow.
just was what it was, like there was another house that came up available. It was either the next day or the day after that. And I bought that one. And that one too was probably about an hour or two. That's all it took. There was a lot of people that were really interested in that place too. Like, I mean, they're going quick.
So
But
how do
that's
you
not just us though. Like, I mean, that's pretty much all around the area because people are looking for affordable homes. And like I say, in our town, it's affordable to live here. So
what role does the provincial government have in playing in helping Duck Lake out right now and your community out in addressing some of these challenges? Because you can't do it alone. And I think you probably, by the sounds of it, have realized that you need outside help, whether that be from developers, whether that be from the provincial government, whether that be from an organization that comes in and buys the naming rights for your community, your name, your actual town name, whatever it is. What role do you see the province needing to play to help out in your community?
Well, we're applying for grants the same way that every other community is doing. You know what I mean? Maybe you're successful and maybe you're not. Like I say though, they're kind of pigeonholed though too with as much
Yeah.
money as what they can give. If the only way out of this truly is basically if the federal government got out of the way and let the provinces actually expand their markets so that the entire country could thrive. And it should have been like that how many years ago?
I will agree wholeheartedly on that statement there, Mayor.
Yes.
Um, uh, is there concern that dissolution is on the table?
I don't know.
Because if you, and I'm not trying to be rude about that statement, it's just I guarantee if I don't ask that question, I know at least 4 people that will send me an email saying, why didn't you ask that question? Because infrastructure seems to be the big ticket item that a lot of municipalities are trying to figure out how to afford right now. And if you can't afford it, things are going to have to start being cut. And that means services are going to have to be cut from the town. And if you want to talk about people being upset, you cut some services to them and they will be upset even more.
You bet. You bet.
Is this budget cycle that you're going to be going into at the end of this year, 2026, going to be tough for the town if nothing changes? You talk about
I
some of the good things that are going on, about the loan potentially being fully repaid by the end of the year, end of next year, but is it tough right now for the town to budget?
we can't get close to the things that we actually need to have done. But see, um, we had a long time administrator here, and
Uh,
after she retired, we went through administrator after administrator after administrator. So going through those many administrators, we fell through the cracks for our landfill that we had here in town. So we lost our landfill, even though ours was in very good shape. It always passed, and we had done a lot of work on it, but because they didn't reapply for it, the government will shut them down as fast as they possibly can because there's just too many of them here in the province, according to them. I do understand what they're saying. Do I agree with it? No, but it just doesn't matter. It's done, it's done. But there again, it took too long in order to get everything done. So yes, we did get a very large grant in order to cover that, but then the town had to cover that one too. Okay, well then that one's paid off. So now it's just one more thing, one more thing, one more thing, you know? But hopefully, say by the end of 2027, we can actually start looking towards doing some real work in the town. We have started doing some work on our roads right now. It's a 2-year process of what we're doing, but whatever, it's something. It's a million times better to drive on those roads that we were able to get done than what it was prior. So if people are okay with just doing the little bits that we can, well, then fine. That's what we're going to keep doing. How long is it going to take in order to get everything accomplished, though? Like I say, that 10 million was a huge help. But if
Hey,
it's not there, you know what? It could take the next 30 years by the time that we can finally get all of our infrastructure fixed up. And then it's time to start all over again. You know,
the cyclical cycle, the
that's
cyclical
exactly
cycle.
right. You know, like that is what it is.
The definition of insanity is doing the same thing expecting something different, but you are doing something different, so I give you props, Mayor, on that. Now, I just looked at the time and I did not realize we're already at the 30-minute mark, and I have not even asked any of the questions that I traditionally ask in these shows, but I've loved this conversation. But I'm going to flip the script a little bit if you don't mind.
Yep.
Now, understandable, the town of Duck Lake is going through a lot of challenges right now, a lot of infrastructure challenges. But there's got to be something going right in the town. There's got to be something that you look at and you say, you know what? We have X, Y, and Z going wrong, but we got A, B, and C going right for us. What are the things that you look at the town and say, you know what? I'm dang proud to be the mayor of this community.
Well, I'm definitely proud to be the mayor of the community. That's one of the biggest reasons why I did run. I wanted to be on here, you know. Um, we do have a lot of heritage with this place, even though the history itself didn't actually necessarily happen exactly where our town is located. It doesn't matter. We're based off of this area, and everybody knows this. So the heritage aspect of what we have is a real proud point for all of us. Outside of that, we have um, the
Can I ask a
Bell.
follow-up question to that? Because I think
Okay.
this is a good follow-up to that statement. Your history is unique, and you have an interpretive center in Duck Lake that shows the history from pioneers to the Métis to the First Nations. If I'm not mistaken, of the late 1800s, early 1900s era of what
Yes.
goes on in Duck Lake. You're still standing after all the challenges that you face. Are you optimistic about the future? Are you optimistic that even in the face of challenges, you will overcome these obstacles and Duck Lake will thrive to be the community that you envisioned when you first started getting on council?
Well, I really hope so. Like I say, it definitely helps. It definitely helps with having a young council because they would like to see something for the future. One of the biggest advantages for us is with Beardy's and Okamasas Reserve being right beside us, they are actually starting to do some development for themselves over on the highway. And as the businesses start getting developed over there, it does start getting people thinking about, hey, you know what? There is potential over here. So believe me, I am 100% behind them and trying to help them as much as I possibly can. Also, I want to see them be successful because as successful as they can be, it will hopefully transfer into the town too.
Because
So,
it's the old adage, what's good for your neighbor is good for me, right? Because if your neighbor thrives, then you thrive in essence with them. And if your neighbor
exactly.
builds a big giant facility, then you see the economic windfalls of that.
Yes. And
So
see,
what do
like
you go ahead?
I was going to say, some of the old, like one of the things that we were known for was our interpretive center, but it wasn't just that though. It was our murals project. But having outdoor murals is actually very tough because you have to keep up with them. But we've also, because they were actually on physical buildings, we've lost quite a few of them though too, just because it's old buildings that were here. So it was a great thought to have put them in. And I love the murals, but we've lost some beautiful ones though already. And the other ones, they need to be fixed up too. Would we want to keep putting more on though? That's a tough call, you know?
Well, especially when you have other challenges, outside challenges. Now, if an independent person decides to take on the mural project themselves and keep them updated and ensure that they look beautiful, then great. And the town, I'm assuming, would be very much behind that. But if the town is looking at what do we fix, our roads or a painting, it's kind of an easy answer, but a difficult one at the end of the day because you want people to still come, but you don't want people to drive on crappy roads. So it's that double-edged
Yes,
sword.
yes.
We are at the beginning of 2026. We are looking towards the future. And in my opinion, and this is just my opinion alone, every municipality has a story to tell. Every municipality has that unique thing that they are proud of, that they look at and they say, you know what, people should come and see. You talked about the Interpretive Center. You talked about the outdoor murals, which I've read extensively about on your website. But I want to ask the flip question is, why should people invest in Duck Lake? Why should people look at Duck Lake as an attractive investment that they could sink money into and they would be able to see a win win for themselves?
Now, are you talking as far as naming goes, or are you talking about as a business?
You
As a
take the
business to come here?
you take the question whatever way you want, Mayor. Let's
Okay.
let's start with the naming. Why should
Well,
people pay $10 million to potentially take over the naming rights of the town of Duck Lake and name it the town of cross border interviews? Because if I had $10 million, I would hypothetically throw my hat in the ring there.
well, the name itself, you're on both the north side and the south side of Highway 11, plus you'd be on Highway 212. So you have those three signs, and everyone's going to see your name every single time that they're driving by. And like I say, is 6,000 people seeing your name every day? Is that something that's worth it? But it's not just there. It's on the weather network. It's on maps. And it's worldwide too, right? Is that enough? I don't know. Like, that's why I wanted to ask the question. But like I say, as far as driving business here, though, or driving people to come and move here, we're an affordable community. It is so much cheaper to open up here than what it would be anywhere else. We are so close to both cities because we're pretty much the midway point between Prince Albert and Saskatoon. The crime rate is almost non-existent over here. And if you want to get out of the city, why wouldn't you want to do something like that?
Yeah.
So I don't know. I mean, it's two-lane highway to go to either city also. So if you're working there, if you're on the north end of Saskatoon, you're talking about 40 minutes to drive there. But if you're Prince Albert, you're talking 30 minutes to get there. And the drive is gorgeous. I used to work in Prince Albert and I used to drive that all the time. I love that drive. It gives you enough time to relax at the beginning of your day, to get geared up, ready to go. And on your drive home, it gives you time to just clear your mind, and you get here and you're ready to come home to your family. So is that good enough reason? I don't know. I think so.
I think so as well. I have two last questions for you before I let you go, Jason. And the first one is there a spot in the community you go to just to decompress at night? Because I can imagine these decisions that you have to make or have been making have to weigh on you a little bit. And there must be a spot in the community you can just recenter yourself. Where is that for you?
I don't have that place actually. I'm so busy all the time. It's not even funny. Like I say,
Sorry.
it's after my son's house was sold, then I bought another one, and that's for myself and my wife. It's because I own an old business here in town that I am looking for the future for reopening, but it's going to be a completely different business. But I have to quit buying houses because I've been doing quite a few of them for the last few years. And right now I'm sitting on 4 properties. So hopefully by the end of the year, I'll have 2 of them done. And then it's just the 2 more to go, and that's it. But the house that I just purchased actually is right beside my business. And it's only a block down for my wife to actually walk to work instead. So it was a good spot for us. It just is. So
Well, I wish you the best of luck trying to find some semblance of just decompression, but I wish you the best of luck in being able to sell the 4 houses by the end of the year, or even 2 of the houses by the end of the year. So my final question before I let you go is the all important one. It's the $1 million question. What makes the town of Duck Lake such a great place to live, to work, and to raise a family, Mayor?
it's basically everything about the town. Like it's a beautiful town. And the history that we do have here, it is very unique. And it's so close to both cities. Like we're pretty much in the perfect spot. Like I say, the crime rate is just almost non-existent. Technically, I mean, with some more businesses, it would be really nice. But
Well,
outside of that, we pretty much have everything here that we need. So
Well, I wish you the best of luck as January rolls into February, rolls into March, and we come to March 31st. I'm assuming, and I know you should never assume, but I'm taking a wild stab in the dark and saying you will be at the SUMA convention, the Saskatchewan Urban Municipalities Association convention in beautiful downtown Regina in April.
I would love to say yes, but probably not.
Well,
It's
if
it's just my schedule, the way that it works out. I work 4/10s, so
uh,
it's tough for me to get away. It just is.
No, I understand. But then on that note, then I will come up to Duck Lake after March 31st and follow up with the conversation and do a live in-person interview with you in Duck Lake, if that's okay with you, to talk about what the path forward after March 31st will be. Well, and I thank you so much for doing this today there.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. That sounds good. Yeah, definitely come down. I'll sit down with you for sure.
Thanks for tuning in to Cross Border Interviews. Our goal is to create meaningful conversations that inform, that connect, and that strengthen communities from coast to coast to coast. Now, if you found value in today's discussion, please take a moment to subscribe to the show, leave a review, and share this episode with your community. And if you are a municipally elected official in any province or territory with a story to tell, insight to share, or ideas worth spotlighting, we invite you to be part of the conversation. Reach out to us today by visiting crossbordernetwork.ca and learn how you can take part in an upcoming episode. So until next time, stay informed, stay engaged, and we will be back with a new episode of Cross Border Interviews soon.